48 countries entered the biggest World Cup ever. More teams, more knockout matches, more chances for a new country to make history. Then Spain beat Argentina 1-0 in extra time and lifted the trophy. The largest World Cup ever had produced one of its most familiar endings, because across 23 editions, only 8 countries have ever become world champions. Every winner and every finalist has come from Europe or South America, not Africa, not Asia, not North America, not Oceania. The World Cup tells us anything can happen. History tells us that almost nothing does. And the real barrier is not population, money, or even the ability to produce one brilliant generation. It is something most countries cannot build during one tournament cycle. So why can an underdog shock the world for one night, but almost never survive long enough to rule it? Football's closed club? Brazil lead with 5 titles. Germany and Italy have 4. Argentina have 3. France, Uruguay, and Spain have 2. England have 1. 8 countries. That is the entire club. Getting close does not guarantee entry either. The Netherlands have reached 3 finals and lost all 3. Hungary, Sweden, Croatia, and the former Czechoslovakia also reached the final without winning it. Then come the unforgettable outsiders: South Korea in 2002, Morocco in 2022. Teams that eliminated giants, changed expectations, and created stories people will remember forever. But the fairy tale usually ends before the trophy arrives, because eliminating one giant requires one extraordinary performance. Becoming world champion requires surviving every possible version of the tournament, and that is where the gap becomes much bigger. 8 matches, 8 problems. A smaller country may develop an excellent starting 11. But the World Cup does not only test its best 11, it tests what happens when the striker gets injured, when the fullback is exhausted, when the first tactical plan stops working, when a semifinal demands speed on the wings, but the final requires control in midfield, and when one penalty decides 4 years of work. Under the expanded format, a finalist now plays 8 matches, including the new round of 32. The 2026 tournament contained 48 teams and 104 matches. That means 8 opponents, 8 different tactical problems, and 8 opportunities for one weakness to end everything. Depth is not only about replacing players, it is about replacing solutions. One match may require a powerful striker. Another may need a false 9. One opponent may force you to press high. Another may leave space only on the counterattack. Smaller nations often arrive with one excellent plan. Champions arrive with several. One upset needs courage. 8 matches require a system. And that system is built years before the squad ever meets. One before the tournament. A national team coach can change a formation. He cannot give a 27-year-old midfielder the first touch he should have learned at 12. FIFA's talent development research found that leading football associations tend to have lower player-to-coach ratios and almost 3 times as many full-time academy coaches as associations ranked between 51st and 100th. In leading associations, the average ratio between ages 12 and 15 is around 11 players for every coach. That difference compounds for years. One young player receives more individual feedback, more meaningful training, more matches against strong opponents, and more coaches capable of recognizing what he needs next. By the time those players reach the national team, many decisions that appear instinctive have already been trained thousands of times. The World Cup final may happen in July, but part of it was decided inside an under-12 training session 15 years earlier. These hidden advantages are exactly what Football Rulebook is built to explain. So subscribe if you enjoy football stories that go beyond the score, because the next advantage is even harder to manufacture. Pressure is a skill. Imagine the 82nd minute of a quarterfinal. A team has just conceded. The crowd is roaring. The match is opening up, and one more mistake could end the tournament. An inexperienced team may immediately chase the game and lose its shape. An experienced team knows that the first job is sometimes to survive the next 5 minutes. That calm does not appear by accident. Players from traditional powers regularly experience high-pressure league matches, continental knockout games, major international tournaments, and brutal public expectations. They have seen matches become chaotic before. They know when to attack, when to slow everything down, and when to stop trying to win for a moment so they do not lose. This is where the gap becomes frightening. A smaller nation may need the greatest tournament in its history. A traditional power may only need to behave like itself. History is not just a collection of trophies. It is repeated practice under pressure, built for knockout football. Late in a World Cup knockout match, the difference may not look dramatic. It can be one midfielder recognizing that his team needs to keep the ball, one defender refusing to follow a striker into the wrong space, one substitute realizing exactly where a tired opponent will leave a gap. The decision may last 2 seconds. The experience behind it may have taken decades to build. And traditional powers usually have more players who make those decisions every week at the highest level. They do not simply produce stars. They produce players who understand different roles, different match states, and different ways to win. That is why replacing one injured player does not always destroy them. The replacement may be less talented, but he still understands the system. Globalization isn't enough. The good news is that the gap is shrinking. Football knowledge is spreading. Academies are improving. More players are being developed abroad, and dual national recruitment has strengthened countries that once lacked depth. Morocco showed how powerful that combination could become in 2022. They eliminated Spain and Portugal and became the first African nation to reach a World Cup semifinal. But recruitment cannot replace an entire production line. One elite goalkeeper can save a knockout match. One world-class winger can eliminate a favorite. But a champion needs reliable quality across almost every position, options on the bench, qualified coaches beneath the senior team, and another generation already developing behind the first one. Recruitment can accelerate progress. It cannot manufacture the complete system. 3 countries, 3 missing pieces. 3 countries appear closest to becoming the 9th champion, but each is missing something different. Morocco have already proved that an outsider can defeat multiple traditional powers. Their challenge is depth, repeating that level across an even longer tournament and then surviving 2 more elite opponents. Portugal possess the talent factory. They consistently develop technical players and top-level coaches. But their best World Cup finish remains 3rd place in 1966. The talent exists. The complete tournament run does not, yet. Then there is the Netherlands. They have the academies, the football culture, the tactical identity, and 3 previous final appearances. They are not trying to build the foundations of a champion. They are trying to complete the final step. Randomness vs. a century. Of course, football systems do not score goals. Players do. 1 red card, 1 injury, 1 deflection, or 1 penalty shootout can destroy the best prepared team in the tournament. That randomness is why underdogs will always have a chance. But randomness explains 1 match. It does not explain almost a century of the same 2 regions supplying every finalist. The old monopoly will eventually break, but it probably will not be broken by 1 miracle. The system wins. The World Cup begins with 48 countries, but by the final weekend, it usually becomes a competition between football systems built over generations. 1 great player can win a match. 1 great generation can reach a semifinal. 1 unforgettable run can change a country forever. But champions need replacements, tactical flexibility, emotional control, and another generation already preparing behind them. The first new champion will not simply be the next outsider to catch fire. It will be the first country that builds enough to survive 8 different opponents, 8 different problems, and every type of pressure the World Cup can create. So who becomes the 9th world champion? The Netherlands, Portugal, Morocco, or someone nobody is taking seriously yet? Tell me your pick in the comments and tell me the one thing that country still needs to build. Then subscribe to Football Rulebook for documentaries that uncover the tactics, systems, rules, and hidden advantages behind football's biggest moments. Because the scoreboard tells you what happened. Football Rulebook explains why.